All right, diving in today, we're tackling how to share those whoa, big spiritual insights with people who might not quite get it.
It's a tough one, right?
It's like explaining color to someone who's, only seen black and white.
Yeah.
And we've got a whole stack of sources here, listeners, all about this.
It seems like they're talking to people who are, already on that spiritual path.
Yeah, giving them advice on how to bridge that gap.
Exactly.
And have you ever felt that? You have this amazing realization and then poof.
Yeah, you try to explain it
And words just vanish.
it's like you're speaking different languages.
Totally.
It's definitely a challenge.
So what's the core idea here from all these sources?
Well, it's interesting. They're all saying it's not about convincing anyone. It's
Okay.
about offering a new, perspective.
A new lens to see the world through?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. A new lens.
It changes the whole approach.
Yeah, it does. So what really struck me at first was, what even is this spiritual insight? It's not just any random thought, right?
Oh, definitely not.
So how do these sources define it?
One of them calls it a sudden understanding of a deeper truth.
Ooh, I like that.
That connection to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And it's usually triggered by some experience.
Like what?
Could be a deep connection with nature,
Right.
or a moment of just profound stillness.
Okay.
And that's where the challenge starts. Because these insights, they're so personal
Yeah,
and totally subjective.
that makes sense.
Two people could see the same incredible sunset.
Oh,
One person's moved to tears, the other's checking their watch.
Totally. I've been both those people, honestly.
And the sources, they say, sharing these insights is hard because they often challenge existing beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
Like asking someone to step outside their comfort zone and look into something unknown.
Yeah, maybe even a little scary.
Right.
So it's not just finding the right words.
Right.
It's like navigating a whole emotional landscape.
Totally.
It's more like asking someone to not just understand a different language, but to embrace a whole new culture.
And that's where the source material gets really interesting.
Okay, got me more.
It gives specific strategies for this unique challenge.
Instead of just generic communication tips.
Right. It's about meeting people where they are.
Right.
Respecting their perspective and offering an invitation.
Instead of an argument.
Yeah, like a gentle nudge towards a new way of seeing things.
Okay, so how do we do that? I need specifics.
Well, the first one that jumps out is stories.
Stories.
Think about it. All spiritual traditions, they use stories.
Oh, yeah. Parables, myths, all that.
Exactly. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. Stories stick with you.
They do. It's like facts tell, but stories sell.
Okay, I'm listening.
Stories go around our intellectual defenses and they speak to our, hearts.
Oh,
They help us connect emotionally before we even try to, understand it logically. And with something as, abstract as spirituality, that's crucial.
So instead of explaining my latest epiphany,
Right.
I should tell a story about it.
You got it. There's this great example in the source material about how indigenous cultures use storytelling
Oh,
to pass down wisdom through generations.
yeah.
And it's not just entertainment, it's spiritual truth woven into these stories.
That makes me think about how we learned as kids.
Yeah.
We don't start with, textbooks.
No, we start with fairy tales.
Exactly.
And those stories shape us.
Way before we even know what's happening.
Exactly. And it's the same with sharing spiritual insights.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to see it.
A good story, it can plant a seed.
That might blossom later.
Yeah.
But what about timing? The sources talk about that a lot.
Timing is key.
Why is it so important?
Okay, think about it this way. Have you ever tried to force a flower to bloom?
You mean before it's ready?
Yeah. You could end up, damaging the plant.
That's a good point.
And I'm sure we've all been on the receiving end of someone trying to,
Enlighten us.
yeah, when we weren't ready.
Oh, yeah. That's the worst.
It can feel so invasive.
Pushy, too.
The source material really emphasizes sensitivity.
To the other person's readiness.
Yeah, it's not about imposing your beliefs.
But about creating a safe space.
Exact.
So it's more like planting seeds, not force-feeding someone a whole meal.
Precisely. And that brings us to another strategy.
Okay, hit me.
Active listening.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is where empathy is so important.
I can see that.
It's not enough to just wait for your turn to speak.
You have to actually listen.
Yeah, really tune in to the other person's perspective.
I get that. But It's hard when you're excited to share your own thing, you know?
Oh,
You
no.
get caught up in it.
That's why the source material stresses asking open-ended questions,
Okay.
reflecting back what you hear.
Oh, yeah, like making sure you understand,
Yeah, and acknowledging their feelings.
not just their words.
Right, it's about creating a dialogue.
Back and forth.
Yeah, not a lecture.
This is making me realize there's so much more to this than I thought.
Me too. It's not just about what you say.
It's how you say it, when you say it, who you're saying it to.
It's a dance.
It is a delicate dance.
And that brings us to another key element, language.
Oh, yeah, language.
That can be tricky.
I've definitely been guilty of using too much spiritual jargon.
Oh, we've all been there.
And I end up sounding like, I don't know.
Like you're speaking in tongues.
Exactly.
The source material cautions against that.
Really?
It says to use clear, relatable language,
Okay.
words that resonate.
So not dumbing it down.
No, but making it accessible.
Got it.
Like instead of talking about chakras, you
Yeah,
could
okay.
say, I felt a surge of energy.
Oh, yeah, that's way better.
It's about translating those abstract concepts into something concrete,
Finding common ground.
building a bridge of understanding.
This is all making so much sense now.
It's not about imposing our beliefs.
No. It's about sharing our experiences in a way that invites connection.
Yes. And understanding.
And that requires a whole different set of skills than I realized.
You're getting it.
This has been eye-opening.
We've uncovered some valuable insights about, like, what spiritual insights even are.
Yeah, and how to approach these conversations.
With sensitivity and skill.
But there's so much more to unpack.
There is.
We'll be right back to dive even deeper into this and explore how to truly connect on a spiritual level.
Even if you don't share the same beliefs.
Stay tuned. So, before the break, we were getting into this idea of, like, meeting people where they are.
Yeah, that's key.
Sounds good in theory.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Oh, one powerful way is through vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, one of the sources talks about sharing your struggles
So,
alongside your, moments of enlightenment.
so not just the good stuff.
Right. Being real about the challenges.
Showing that you don't have all the answers.
Exactly. It makes you relatable.
People can connect with that.
Yeah, they open up more when they don't feel judged.
It's like that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly. Showing vulnerability shows you care.
You're not just trying to be right.
You're trying to connect.
And sometimes the most empathetic thing is just to,
Yeah.
just be quiet.
The sources talk about silence,
Oh, interesting.
creating space for the other person
To express themselves.
without judgment.
You know, it's funny.
Well,
We're talking about spiritual stuff, but this applies to any conversation, right?
Yeah. Silly.
Politics, relationships, anything important.
Empathy, humility, active listening,
Those are the keys to connection.
no matter what you're talking about.
This reminds me of that part in the source where it asks, in our eagerness to share our insights, are we truly listening to the spiritual narratives of others?
That's a powerful question.
It really makes you think about your motivation.
Yeah, are you trying to be right? To convince someone?
Or are you really trying to connect?
To learn from the other person?
That's a big difference.
It is.
The source also talked about language, using words that are accessible.
Avoiding jargon.
Yeah, that stuff can be alienating.
It puts up a wall between you and the other person.
Like trying to have a conversation in a language you don't really understand.
You might get the gist, but you're missing the nuance.
And you probably don't feel very connected to the person.
Exactly.
There's also this idea that our understanding of spiritual truths is always evolving.
It is. It's a journey.
So humility isn't just about acknowledging what you don't know,
It's about being open to new perspective.
recognizing that everyone has something to teach us.
It's like that Rumi quote, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
Beautiful.
It speaks to the possibility of connection, even when we have different beliefs.
That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
finding common ground.
You know, one thing that really hit me was the idea that forcing spiritual insights on someone can actually backfire.
It can. It's like a paradox.
The more you try to control it.
The less likely it is to work.
There's that analogy in one of the sources about a butterfly.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
If you hold it too tight, you'll crush it.
But if you open your hand,
It might just land on your finger.
it's about a light touch, a gentle approach.
So, offering, not imposing,
Planting a seed and trusting it will grow.
if the conditions are right.
Exactly.
So instead of convincing, we should focus on creating a safe space for the other person.
To explore and discover for themselves.
That makes me think about the times I've had those aha moments.
Yeah.
They never happened when someone was lecturing me.
Right. It's often in moments of quiet reflection
Or nature.
or through unexpected
It's
encounters.
like the source says, spiritual insights aren't found, they're received.
And that receptivity can't be forced.
It requires openness.
A willingness to let go and embrace the unknown.
One source talks about spiritual bypassing.
Oh, yeah, using spirituality to avoid difficult emotions.
Right. It's not about escaping reality.
It's about engaging with it more fully.
Facing the shadows and the light.
And that brings us back to vulnerability.
When we share our struggles,
We show that spirituality isn't about being perfect,
it's about being human
embracing the messiness of life.
and finding meaning in it all.
That's the real journey.
This has been an amazing conversation.
It has. We've uncovered so much.
I'm seeing this whole process in a new light,
Me too. It's like we've been on our own little retreat.
finding hidden gems of wisdom along the way.
And we're not done yet. There's still more to explore.
We'll be right back to talk about how to integrate these insights into our everyday lives.
And create more meaningful connections with everyone around us.
Stay tuned. We're back, and wow, this whole deep dive has really, shifted my perspective.
Mine too. It's amazing how much we've unpacked about sharing these deep insights.
And for me, one of the biggest takeaways is it's not about being some perfect spiritual guru.
Right.
It's about being, well, just human.
That's so true. The source material actually uses the phrase humble offering
I like that.
to describe the best approach.
It's like acknowledging that we're all still learning, still growing.
Yeah. Our understanding is always evolving.
And that takes the pressure off, you know?
Definitely.
I don't have to have all the answers.
You just share your experience.
And trust that it might resonate with someone.
That trust is everything.
Letting go of the need to control the outcome.
Allowing space for the other person's journey.
One of the sources said it so beautifully, something like, spiritual insights are like wildflowers.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
They bloom where they're meant to, and trying to transplant them will only wilt their beauty.
It's a perfect analogy. Respect the natural unfolding of each person's path.
So, how do we actually put all this into practice?
Right. It's one thing to understand it intellectually.
But how do we live it?
Well, one suggestion is intentional silence.
Silence.
Creating those moments of quiet contemplation,
That's interesting.
both for ourselves and in our conversations.
In a world that's so loud and busy, silence can feel, I don't know.
Like a void.
Yeah. But the sources are saying it's actually like fertile ground.
For spiritual growth.
It's in those quiet moments that we really connect with ourselves.
And hear that inner wisdom.
So when we bring that intentionality to our conversations,
Like create space for deeper listening.
instead of rushing to fill every silence with words,
Let those pauses become opportunities.
for reflection, for connection,
Exactly. It's a shift in mindset
from I need to say something profound.
to I want to create a space where profound things can emerge.
I love that.
And the sources also talk about our energy, our intentions.
Oh yeah, that's so important.
Are we coming from a place of ego, wanting to impress?
Or is it genuine humility? A desire to connect on a deeper level?
People can sense that, you know?
Yeah, it's like you can't fake it.
If your motives aren't pure, it shows.
And people are more receptive when they feel that authenticity.
And being real.
Which makes me think about intuition.
Intuition.
Trusting your gut feeling about when to share, how to share.
Oh, that inner guidance.
That bridge between the conscious and unconscious,
Yeah, it can lead us to those moments of synchronicity.
where the message and the readiness align perfectly. So not overthinking it, but trusting those subtle nudges,
Being present, attuned to the energy.
letting the conversation unfold organically.
And you know, one of the most powerful things I'm taking away from all this
What's that?
is that sharing these insights, it's about service.
Service.
Not about self-aggrandizement or seeking validation.
But about offering something meaningful to others,
The sources say the true measure of spiritual growth is how we treat others.
especially those who believe differently.
It's about compassion, understanding, even when we disagree,
Recognizing that everyone has something valuable to offer.
no matter where they are on their path.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling a sense of, I don't know, hope, inspiration.
Me too.
Sharing these insights, it's not about rules.
It's about a way of being.
Rooted in empathy, authenticity, and connection.
And if we can embody
We
that,
create positive change in the world.
it all starts with those individual interactions.
Thank you for joining us on this journey, listeners.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Insights that you can apply to your own life, your relationships.
Keep diving deep, keep connecting, keep shining your light.
Until next time.